Oh, did I put them out? Oh, no, good.
Now we'll set to go. All right. We'll call to order the December meeting of the Village of Skokie Sustainable Environmental Advisory Commission, the SEAC. The first order of business on the agenda is approving the minutes from last month. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Emily, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, second by Charlie. Any discussions, any corrections, any comments, questions? Okay. All those who approve the minutes? Okay, motion passes, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is we have a guest speaker. Meredith, do you want to pronounce your last name for us?
That would be Joya.
Joya, thank you. Meredith Joya, Village Skokie Communications Manager. She's here to talk about the new sustainability website for Skokie. Welcome, Meredith. Thank you for being here.
Okay, there we go. So I am here to talk to you about the sustainability. Here, let me stick that out. Yeah, there. There we go. All right. And let me take that back. All right, so about the sustainability plan and its presence on the skokie.org website. I am the communications manager for the Village of Skokie. I've been in this position for approximately 3 months. And prior to that, I spent 15 years at DePaul University managing communications for the College of Education. So here at the Village of Skokie, my main responsibilities are handling the social media content and strategy for social media, handling the website, and then also video production. So you may know the Building a Sustainable Village video series that the village has been putting out the past couple of months. This is a series of short videos about sustainability that we've been pushing out on our social media, and we're going to be continuing it into the new year. If any of you have any ideas or would like to collaborate on a video, if you'd like to, I get sick of hearing my voice doing the voiceovers on these videos. So if any of you have a topic that's particularly close to your heart that you'd like to share, this is my plug to say, reach out to me and let me know. Now, when building a website, the first thing you have to consider is the audience. So in adding a sustainability section, a sustainability website to the skokie.org website, the main audiences that we're going to be reaching out to are Village of Skokie residents, the Village of Skokie boards and commissions. And we don't mean just you, because the sustainability plan really encompasses work throughout the village. So many of the other boards and commissions will have reason to look at the sustainability plan. Village of Skokie employees, and then other municipalities, because when they hear about the work that we're doing, obviously they're going to want to come and learn more about what we've got going on. The next thing you need to think about is the purpose. So the purpose of this section is first to inform the public and other entities about our sustainability plan. The second would be to regularly update stakeholders as far as our progress towards the sustainability goals and actions. to hold village employees accountable. If we have to put this out on the web and update people regularly, that means that we've got to keep doing the work. To inspire individuals and businesses to make more sustainable choices utilizing the village programs that exist. And then to provide any additional resources for those who read about this and get really jazzed and are like, wow, I want to do more, I want to learn more. So to provide them some resources outside of the village where they can easily access that information. So the way we're going to do this is a section within the Our Community section of the website. Now, I know that the village website is kind of hard to navigate. You've got to click here and then go down here and click on this. So we're also going to provide a short URL. It's probably going to be something like skokie.org/sustainability. Keep it simple. But if you want to navigate it from the site, you're going to go to Our Community and it'll be on that sub navigation. This is the landing page for the sustainability section. Right here, we have a brief intro about the history of sustainability in Skokie and talking a little bit about how we came around to the sustainability plan. Most of this information is stuff I've pulled right out of the sustainability plan. I'm not recreating the wheel. This work has already been done by all of you and by Pale Blue Dot, so I'm pulling that information and putting it in easy digestible snippets. Most of the residents aren't going to go through the hundreds of pages of the plan. So this is pulling the Reader's Digest version and putting it up here to just give them an overall view. You'll also see that if they want to read the entire sustainability plan, there is a link to the plan, the finalized plan that they can download on their own. Up here at the right-hand top navigation, you'll see latest sustainability news. So we have tasked the leaders of each of the sectors to provide regular updates, regular news blurbs to Ann Tennis and myself. Now, there are many different channels that we can share these blurbs. It can be on the website, it can be in the weekly e-newsletter, it can be in the quarterly newsletter gets sent out to residents, it can be on our social media. But when they want to submit it to the website, there's a form that they'll fill out, they'll write the blurb, and the two most recent blurbs, the two most recent news items that are submitted by any of the sustainability teams will be featured on the website. So when you come to this landing page, you'll always see the most recent news. Down here, you'll see this What Can You Do button. Throughout the website, we don't want to just tell them the work that we're doing, but we want to encourage residents and we want to encourage businesses to do their own efforts to help us, because the village can do all of this work, but if the residents don't buy in and do it with us, it's not going to happen. So throughout the website, you'll see this button, you'll see the question, what can you do? And that's going to direct them to some resources that I'll demonstrate in a little bit. Scrolling down the page, you'll see that all of the different sectors are listed. And when the site is completely built out, these will be live links. And when you click on any of those links, then you will see, you'll be taken to a separate page for each sector. So each sector has an individual page with information for just that sector. Down at the bottom, again, implementation is for everyone. What can you do? We're hammering that point home to anybody who's visiting the website. And then down at the bottom, we have a link for if you have questions about the sustainability plan, and that is asking them to send an email to sustainability@skokie.org, and then it'll get triaged to the appropriate person that will be able to answer the question. Right. All right, so if you were to click on one of these and go into the sector pages, this is they're all along the same template, but this would be the transportation and mobility page. You'll see here that all of the sectors are listed here in the left-hand navigation. So if somebody's reading this sector and then they want to jump to another one, it's all very simple navigation. They don't have to go back to the home page. They can just keep going down the left-hand nav.
Erin, if you do have a question, I don't know if you want to go to the end or if you want to stop.
I think I'll hold. I have time for questions at the end, so I'll be happy to answer them then. Each of the sector pages has an explanation about what the sector is. I know that for those of us that have been deep inside the plan, we can understand the difference between land use and housing and buildings and energy, but Joe Public may not understand. So each page has an explanation for that. And then you'll see here, we have transportation and mobility news. So on the sustainability landing page, we have the two most recent from any of the sectors. But when you get into the sector page, you will have the two most recent news pieces from that sector. So each sector will have news about that particular sector on the page. Again, implementation is for everyone, sending people to learn more about what they can do. And then scrolling down, you'll see all of the not the actions,
Their, yeah, action items. And then
the action items, the strategies.
Strategies,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. Yeah. So every page has all of the strategies listed. So you'll see here, we've got decreased community-wide VMT by 5% by 2030 through increased biking, walking, shared mobility, and e-mobility. So all of the strategies are listed here. And if you click on the strategy, it opens up and displays all of the actions from the sustainability plan. Now you'll see that these are all listed as future actions because the rollout is in its infancy. So we're just getting started on implementing these. But as time goes on, we will have them broken down into in progress actions, future actions, and then eventually completed actions. So hopefully, as years go on, the completed and the in progress will get longer and longer, and the future will get shorter and shorter. Now, these will be updated quarterly. The Sustainability Action Team has a internal document that they'll be updating, and I'll be checking in about every 3 months to see where the progress has been made, and then I'll be going in and updating these web pages. So all of the in progress and future and completed should be up to date within about a 2 to 3 month plan. There you go, in progress section. Now you'll see here, as I was talking about, implementation is for everyone. What can you do? If they click on this link here, it takes them to the what you can do page. Now, I've been talking with some of our economic people, and we're probably going to have a separate link for businesses because we do know that businesses and then residents, individuals have very different needs for sustainability. But this would be the resident page. And one of the issues with the Village of Skokie website is that our information is in various different sectors. We have recycling information in public works. We have, health and safety information in the Department of Health and Human Services. So there's no one place where people can get all of that information. And that's what this is going to aim to be. So if somebody wants to know about all of the sustainability efforts within the village and say they want to recycle, they come to this page, they'll see recycling. How do I recycle paper, plastic, and glass? Right there. Textile here. Medication recycling. Well, that's in the Skokie Police Department's page. So this is all linking it here so they don't have to search around. It's all going to be listed right on here. And I'm going to be working with all of the different departments to make sure that we have all of the information. The other thing that is that's a benefit of this is if that information changes, we don't have to change it in 2 spots. If the recycling information changes and it gets updated on the public works page, well, then we don't have to update it here either because it's just taking them directly to that link that's already been updated. So as far as making sure that we've got accurate information out to our residents, this is an important way to do it. And then finally, additional resources. And this is really where I'm going to need some assistance from all of you. Because as far as additional resources, there's tons of information out there on the web, but legitimate information, like actual scientifically supported information, is a little bit harder to suss out. Anybody with a computer can put up a website. So making sure that we have legitimate, understandable information for our residents that want to learn more is important. So you'll see here, it's very blank. But we're looking for videos, we're looking for websites, printable materials. I know that reaching out to the schools and having education is a big part of the sustainability plan. So if there are educational resources that we can provide that our teachers can use, I would welcome any and all of it. And we will be able to share it on the additional resources page so that residents that want to learn more know that they have trusted resources that they can use as references. And that's it. So if there's any questions, I am happy to answer them now, or I also have my email there. It's meredith.joya@skokie.org. Feel free to shoot me an email and I'll be happy to answer them.
I think we have some Zoom if you want to minimize the.
Yeah, here. You can stop the share.
There's a sound issue now. No, sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mary.
Sure. I think, yeah, Robert, do you have a question?
I do. First of all, this is great and a great start. You answered my question when I originally raised my hand about the hot links to the plan, and then updating those links so that as we accomplish things in the plan, we can note the status. So I thought that's really, really great. Are we going to have some opportunities to suggest some photographs that might be, or content, some input on content? I know it's hard to do this with 40 people, trying to edit it, but if we're allowed to at least give you some comments, I think that would be great. And then the last one, was just a suggestion, and the additional resources is we should take advantage, for example, with our recycling partner, Lakeshore. And I'm sure they have some videos of their MRF in action. And if they maybe we can work with them to come up with an edited version of that that's not too long, because I'm guessing that the majority of people that live in the village don't know what a MRF is, have no idea where their stuff goes. And I think that there's a lot of questions generally that I'm finding in the public. And by the way, I'm in the recycling business and have been for over 40 years. They just don't trust that their stuff's actually going somewhere to be recycled. So I think that if we can address some of that through some of the videos, then that would be great. So those are my comments. It would be great to, be able to comment on sort of a draft on the content, and then we can just send you resources. I guess the last part of that is when people send resources, who's going to review them to basically decide whether or not they are based on science or based on respected science? Or
and can I chime in while we're talking about additional resources too, because this kind of goes
thank
along.
you.
I've been involved in creating a number of websites over the years. I'm a former librarian, so I've also I know generally what it takes to do a website, and I know that once you start doing these additional resources things, you all of a sudden everybody says, well, you should put up, they want to kind of recapture the entire internet on your homepage. Well, we should put this up, put this, this is interesting, and all of a sudden you have a long useless page of resources that either other people that are more focused are doing well, or you could be Googling. So my suggestion, and it sounds like you've got a pretty good experience in this, so you may be following my vibe on this thing, is that we do kind of keep this very focused to what really, basically you are very selective in what you put out there, swank stuff. And that's the other thing, swank will have a whole bunch of resources. We don't need to redo what the swank website does. We really need this to be, otherwise it becomes a useless resource full of links that nobody's going to go to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's really why I say that I could use your help with this. I am not an expert when it comes to sustainability or the resources that are out there. So I don't know if it's something that you all could work. I mean, I'm not looking for the public to send in resources. I really would like to keep it within village employees and perhaps your commission to provide information that you all think would be beneficial.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, we can find a lot of different websites that are gonna be very useful, but really, I think you should try to keep it focused towards Skokie, towards area resources that
Mhm.
help us. I mean, it's very tempting to just say, well, this thing about recycling and why it's so great is something we should have up there. And then, there's really no shortage of those things. And there are other websites that are doing that and putting up, if you put up, one useful thing to Swank talking about how local people can recycle and they're doing that job, then, as tempting as it is to sell all these great resources, it's more effective if you just have targeted stuff for our users.
Yeah, and maybe if there's information like simple information about greenhouse gases and why greenhouse gases are bad. Simpler is better, especially for, just the person who wants like a 2-minute overview. So maybe that's the other thing we can do is talk about what information do people need, and then can we find resources to fulfill that information?
I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, because that was going to be my comment, that I think that we really need to think about which resources are actually useful and informative. And I think that you just captured it, saying, simple 2-minute, easy to understand information.
Yeah.
Because I just had like, a nightmare scenario where we would have like, JSTOR articles or something.
Yeah.
Like that is not helpful.
Yeah, no, because then people just
Yeah.
endlessly scroll and you're not going to find what you
Well,
need.
and it's also just, like, I think information needs to be interpreted,
Mhm.
In order to be useful. And so I just want to make sure that we're staying on that side of it and not, on the like hard facts side of it. Yeah, right. I mean, just make sure that it's actually helpful.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that's nice about websites is it's fluid. I mean, it's not like a printed material where you edit it and you print it and then it's done. So as the sustainability plan grows, as we find out more about what the residents need to know or what we need to be sharing, that's also something that we can tweak and change along the way.
As other people create work that we can poach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, and Robert, if you haven't seen the Building Sustainable Village video series, we did the very first one I did. It's on the Village YouTube. The very first one is actually from when we toured the recycling website, and it kind of goes through, not in huge
Geez,
detail.
I didn't see that one, so I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it goes through it. I mean, it may be something that we could pull more from, but it's just quick and to the point, and this is what goes in your recycling, this is how to recycle, and this is where it goes. Andrew, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, first of all, I think it looks really good, the website.
Thank you.
So, yeah, actually, and good to meet you, by the way. I actually have a background in communication, media, and theater myself, so kind of coming from a similar viewpoint or perspective, as it were. But yeah, so I was just going to ask, I guess, one question or one idea that I had also in terms of pushing things out via social media. I don't know, as far as when we're tracking the progress, which I think it's great that it shows what's in progress, what's, planned for the future and all of that. I don't know what anyone else thinks about this, particularly you. But if there's an ability to create like some sort of infographic that could be pushed out also, maybe on social media that shows, X% of this particular transportation and mobility goals have been accomplished, or and break it down kind of by sector and however much percentage has been accomplished out of the stated goals in the plan. I don't know what you think of that.
Absolutely. I think we've in the sustainability action team meetings, we've been talking a lot about reporting and how we're going to report to each other, and then also the frequency of when we're going to be reporting. So if it is on a quarterly thing, we'll definitely be looking at the information we have and how best to get it out. And it will definitely be on our social media.
Yeah.
And it'll be graphic.
Yeah, I just thought that might be a good way to kind of quickly sort of capture what's been done and how much there's to go. And then obviously a link to more in-depth info, but.
Yeah, great, thank you.
I was gonna say I can share information and we'll talk later, because actually I'm working with another organization and I actually have a meeting about our sustainability webpage tomorrow.
Oh,
So I have resources I can share with you and stuff too. And do we have a Dropbox at all that we can share things with you? 'Cause I'll
we
just-
don't have one set up, but I'd be happy to set something up.
Okay, because I probably have some papers with information and stuff of what you want for little things.
Great.
So.
Great,
I'm Rick, I am a green businessman. And I can help you connect with the green, or with the business community in Skokie, because I've been very active. And I sent you a note on Facebook Messenger, so you'll see that.
great.
So,
Fantastic. Yeah. Any connections that we can get, and also that'll be very helpful when we're building out the what can businesses do, to really find out what we should put on that page and how.
Connection with the chamber very closely.
Great.
And stuff, okay.
Okay.
Now, and I was gonna say, for additional resources, the plan itself has quite a bit of references in the appendices, and that would be a good place to start for the additional resources. All
All right.
Anybody else? Okay, well, again, thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
Yes, very.
Oh, yeah.
One thing is, are we gonna be able to get a copy of what you presented today?
Yeah, I
Take a
can
look at-
share it with you, and you want to send it out to the.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how the link worked, if it's a draft.
Oh, well, I can share the PowerPoint.
Oh, the part.
Yeah,
okay, sure.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
then,
figured that's just easier than doing.
Yeah, I'll send I'll send Liz the PowerPoint and she
Yeah.
can share it. And then just one final thing, as far as rolling this out, I'm hoping to have it done, at least the draft version of the main pages. Obviously, the additional resources and stuff we'll be building throughout. But I hope to have that done by the end of January. So
So just out of curiosity, so when you, this is one of the questions I had, and you answered it about stuff like recycling resources. Are they gonna stay in Public Works and you're just gonna link them, or are you gonna own them? Okay.
yeah, no, they're gonna stay in Public Works because it would just get way too. I mean, that would be a full-time job. And the people in Public Works have the most current information. The police department has the most current health and human. So for me to be able to pull all of that into one site and take it off of that would be too much. Yeah.
Just as a final thought, sorry, I just, please do just, think about and figure out what would be the best way for us to send resources and
Mhm.
communicate those with you, just so we're not like overwhelming you. Until like dig through your
Bombing my email address.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
whatever is easiest for you.
Great.
Feel free to create that, so we
Great.
can. It'll just be there for you whenever you want it, and. Yeah.
all right. Yeah, I'll think about that this week and let you guys know. All right, great. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. All right, next on the agenda, old business, item 3.a will be the sustainability plan implementation and budget update. So is, I assume that there was something in there.
I'm gonna share my screen. How'd I lose everyone? If I get that one. There. Okay. I just wanted to share our kind of working document for the implementation matrix that we call it. We've got the different sectors down here. And then all the action items are listed. The phase that's listed in the plan. And then we've just, different teams have started filling out the lead that's responsible for that action item. And shortly in the next couple of days, we're going to be filling out more of our budget numbers for each item that we're working on for this upcoming year. And then we've been meeting regularly. So the village, I was essentially Max and Nick Wyatt are in charge of the different sectors, and each sector has a key village staff person in charge of it, developing a work plan for the next year. We're looking to commissions and of course SEAC, take a look at the plan and let us know what you're interested in helping with, especially the action items that aren't typical for staff jobs. If you're able to kind of discern that as you're reading the plan, you're going to see things in there that might involve adding things to contracts. That's going to be a staff item. You're going to see things about budgeting or code changes or things like that. And not that we can't take input on some of that stuff, but for the most part, staff kind of has to do that type of work. But then as you go through the plan, there's a lot of action items that are just really beyond our normal scope of work that we could really use a ton of help with. Outreach to schools, outreach to businesses. There's an EV expo in there. There might be research on, a given thing, and staff, as staff, we don't have time to do every single action item in here. So I know at the last meeting, I know Max reached out to all of you to take a look at the plan and sort of identify some things that you wanted to help with. I know Charlie's coming up on the agenda. Just wanted to reach out and see if anybody had that chance and has some first blush thoughts on what they're interested in working on, or
Haven't had a chance to go.
Is there a scratch sheet of this somewhere where we can like?
Yeah, Liz, could you go over what that is? So what, and explain what the spreadsheet you're looking at, and also what they would have.
I hesitate, this is not going to be available to the public. We're showing it today, but it really needs to be our working sheet, because we're going to be changing stuff on here constantly, and we don't want somebody to get, the public to get it and say, oh, okay, this is not like a definite, this is our work plan that sort of changes, and we're going to hit roadblocks and, make notes and change and things like that. But this is just every sector has this work plan.
So I know Max, just like Charlie said, maybe just a quick description of the columns. So I know Max, describe phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but maybe just kind of quickly go through.
Yeah, and so these are being filled out by the leads for each sector. So this is just what's in the plan. These are just action items here on the left-hand side, exactly what is in the plan. The phases, that's also in the plan. There's a phase 1, 2, and 3. We're just starting to look at phase 1 stuff, but we also have to read through the entire plan, because there might be a phase 3 that just takes 8 years. So we can't just, as staff, we can't just say, oh, we're only going to look at phase 1. We have to really go through the whole plan and kind of, because we might have to sort of start on some of the phase 3 stuff in order to finish it in 8 years. So it's a big elephant to take a bite of like this in these first couple of weeks. So here's, where staff is identifying, I think in 2023, we can, get to this, and this. This one's very clean, so this one's kind of following that phase 1 work. And then here is who's in charge of this item right now, and this can change, but this is just sort of, again, these first blush thoughts of, okay, who's in charge of this, who's going to take the lead on this. This is our planner, this is health staff. As we go through, we have identified some commissions. We've had beautification commission very interested in the green space sector. And then implementation task, that might just break down that action item a little bit further. Like maybe we can't do all 3 sentences this first year. Maybe there's just okay, first quarter, we're gonna, just do this one thing. So this is just an area for us to sort of break it down a little bit. Here's some notes. We're gonna have action items that are not gonna work for, we're gonna, reach out to our partner and they're gonna say no. And we're gonna have some place to write that, hey, we tried and this just isn't working out for us right now, or we need to revisit this, or we don't have the money, or whatever it might be. And then there's a cost column here for our projected budget costs. And as we go through the budget process, we have set up extra line items in our budget under the various departments, for these costs. And we're not quite sure. We haven't gone through the process of, funding yet, but this is just the first step of, okay, what are some of these going to cost? And we still have to go through the budget and try to find funding for some of these, but it's the first step of at least identifying, how much does it cost to plant extra trees? How much does it cost to, print these flyers that we need? How much does it cost for an intern to do this work, that type of stuff?
Are you including staff time? And I really hope that you are going to include staff time in that cost. Maybe just as staff time, because I just think on so many levels, it's important to recognize that, right? And not to discourage those types of activities, but just to, I don't know, I am very conscious of that these days, and I do think it's important.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it's a different column, like
Yeah.
maybe there's like an implementation cost, but there's also like a staff time or staff resources,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I can give you an example. I've been working on this grant, and I don't know that it's going to be successful. And I think I've put in 20 or 30 hours already, and I could get to a dead end, at the end of the day,
That's the kind of thing you want.
Yeah, and so
well, and also because if you do get pushback on something, you can say, well, actually, like this,
mhm.
there is,
Yeah.
or like the village did actually invest a significant amount of, time and resources. And that's just why I would encourage it,
Yeah,
Or to prove how many resources you do need.
Yeah, I mean, just all of it, right? Like,
yeah.
I think we do a really poor job of acknowledging, the value of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. And I think as far as helping the world at doing this, I think that would be very helpful for another municipality taking a look at it, as kind of a reality check, for a lack of a better.
I mean, or even, if it's like a code change or an ordinance change, then like, okay, well, this last one took
Mhm.
however many hours, and so we just know we're gonna set time aside to do that, you know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah.
budgeting the future, budgeting staff time.
It's not perfect. I mean, we jump around a lot. It's hard to track, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
having an estimate there, I think,
Yeah,
might be helpful. So yeah, that's as far as implementation. And then I just wanted to kind of note at Public Works, as we just created a new position, and it was needed on a lot of different levels. We just created an operations manager for Public Works. It's someone that got the position who's extremely mechanically inclined and tech savvy, and also has a very strong interest in moving the needle on sustainability in our department. Those are the kind of positions that are so critical for us to actually move the needle on some of our electric vehicle stuff, some of our facility stuff, and things like that. So we're starting to try to incorporate our plan into our positions, if that makes sense. Not just a sustainability coordinator, but the day-to-day grind of doing some of this stuff. So that was a real win for us, and that position just started, I think, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Just acknowledging that this is part of the role,
Mhm.
and you need to be able to do these things too.
Yeah. Scared our other person away that interviewed. He was no, he's interested in sustainability, but it's it's a tough position. And so we're,
And did you send this to, are you gonna send this to us?
so we're not going to make this public necessarily, but I can send a snapshot or, a print,
I actually have a copy of the blank spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
So I'll share that with everybody, and what I would suggest we do is. What I was saying we could do with this is, we actually have a column there for subcommittee of SEAC that might have a particular interest to be oversight involved with. We also might identify community partners, so there might be Chamber of Commerce, or it might be another group that's out there that would be involved, and also other local entities like a park district and school districts that could also be participating in some of this.
And that's the kind of stuff that we just really find ourselves strapped for time. We've had tons of great suggestions, like, oh, let's work with the high school environmental school groups, and all of that sounds great. We just don't have the bandwidth. I don't, as staff, we don't have the bandwidth when we're working on.
Right.
I already know that my name is on too many things, so we have to find solutions on how to.
And we'll of course keep the lead in there so we can assign things to you as well.
Everybody does, Charlie. It's okay.
Great to see SEAC, whether SEAC is popping up on.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So you'll have your working document you have internally to keep track of the work that's going on.
Yeah.
I think if we have the same document but for our purposes as well. I think we can.
Yeah, here's a great example. So Beautification Commission, they're on it, like they've aggressively, I would say in a good way, have reached out to us, to be a part of this. And so they've already, identified certain, action
Yeah, I
items.
mean,
that
I
they
think
can
it would be helpful at some point to just check in and reconcile what you got and what we're looking at too, just so that we can
do. Mhm.
have that same information. But I would agree. I don't think we should necessarily have your working document that we're working with as well,
Mhm.
but at least some coordination.
Well,
Yeah.
you could always, I mean, maybe you don't want to send it out to as many people as I'm suggesting, but you could also just do it as a viewable document, so you can't mess it up.
Mhm.
Or note, you could put notes on.
Yeah, I mean, just know that we might, a lot of this is the sector leads kind of identifying people that probably, they would like to be in the lead. We could go to some of these people and they're going to say no. I mean, it's just going to change a lot is really the point I'm trying to make. So, but it gives you an idea. But you should also feel free in a way. You should also feel free to kind of look at the document and kind of come up with your own, like, okay, I really am interested in these 3 action items too. So I don't want you to feel like you can't do something if somebody else's name is on it or.
Handing off the interns is always a good idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can definitely do that, but, I don't want there to be a gap, like, we may miss something that you're thinking like, hey, this would be good for the commission. And then we're not finding it. Nobody on our side is calling it out.
Mhm.
So I was kind of wondering, like, are there things that you guys have identified, like, yeah, this would be a good commission thing?
I think in the waste, let's see, because that's one of my sectors. Yeah, okay, so this was one of the ones I was looking at for this grant that's available. And honestly, I don't have an answer for you today, and I'm not a whole lot further than it was last week. So I'm still researching that, but if the grant doesn't work out, we still need to do this action item. Things like this that just aren't part of staff's daily, work. Anything that you see with the residents, businesses, outreach type stuff, we could certainly use help on.
Liz, how are you managing the idea that some of these initiatives might be, like, the implementation of some of these initiatives is going to not be compatible with each other? I can't think of the word. Like contradicting, like, doing certain things is going to, prevent other things from happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is
Yeah,
case by case, I think. I mean, a lot of people will talk about
Right, yeah.
solar versus trees or that type of stuff.
Right, I mean, yeah, right, that's an obvious one.
I just think a lot of it's case by case.
Case by case.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
So. Um,
And are you using this to like prioritize too, or I mean,
Yeah, that's
I've
hard.
heard times it looks like really, and that's kind of impossible.
yeah, no, I already know with mine. I mean, we've sort of been through it once. I already can tell. I bet, yeah, like I said, I'm on both waste and green space, and I can already tell. I think one thing I'm gonna try to do in my work life is block out time on my work calendar per week, and I work on it for X amount of hours a week, and what I get done, I, kind of get done. And then Ted said after the first year, you really start to have a handle. It kind of takes that whole year to sort of see what you can and can't do. And this is a working document, remember? So if we get to something and wow, this is going to be a whole lot of work and not that much gain, we might substitute a different action item in there or something like that. So this is a living document. We don't want to make a whole lot of changes. We really want to follow a plan. But I mean, if we're really hitting a wall with something that's not, just that can't be accomplished, we need to, I think it's better for us to acknowledge that and to, be honest with what's working and what's not working.
Well, and like, this now we're in implementation process, like bandwidth and just time.
Yeah.
Are gonna be the two biggest things, and then also is, we have these really big objectives. And we are gonna hit the walls, and it's gonna seem like the things that are most important are the ones that are gonna take the longest too.
Mhm.
So it's just reading how many projects have failed and stuff and things, so hopefully we'll take the same steps and stuff.
On a positive note, we did our first, people may have seen it on social media, but we did our first zero waste event. So that was,
How attended was that, by the way?
it was one of our village holiday parties. So I don't know, it's hard to say. Probably 100 people or something like that. But what was really cool, and we did it at Public Works Collective Resource. We've had, there's some things in the contract with them where they will provide service for us. So they provide service as part of that agreement with us free of charge. Came in, did some education, and the employees were really engaged. And then we went back into Public Works and to see our refuse. I think division was the coolest for me. They work with refuse every day, and they're asking all about the composting and, the program and stuff like that. So twofold, really. I mean, we're getting the education out there by doing that, and then we're also composting a little bit. So, yeah. So that was an early success. Does anybody else have any questions on?
So Charlie, you're gonna put a copy out there and give us all.
I have a copy, and I'll share it on Google.
Yeah, so we can mark
With
it out.
everybody, so that you guys can.
I mean, I think that we have a screen right there that.
Well,
we've been involved.
I'll share a copy of it so that people can either download their own copy, or else we could have a master copy, and however we want to do it, for our own purposes.
I think it'd be good to have a Google document just for us that we all.
Well, he doesn't have the detailed stuff, just the left side mainly, right?
Well, we just need
Well,
to.
I don't have what they've put in there.
No, that's good.
Right, no, yeah,
That way it's.
yeah, you'll see it when I put it out there.
Right.
So what I would suggest for it, there's a ton of material here, and it's pretty dense, but it is organized fairly, in a fairly straightforward way. So they have the sectors, and then they have the strategies. Probably the thing to do is just go through and get familiar with the sectors, and then look at the strategies. And then if there's something that is of interest in the strategies, you can look at the individual actions.
Yeah.
That'll save you it'll save you the headache of trying to digest the whole thing at one time. But I think getting acclimated to the sectors and what the strategies are will be helpful for understanding what's in that plan.
Yeah, and here's a great example of something where, somebody could really take this independently and just do a whole bunch of research, this one with the styrofoam, and just see what's out there and what opportunities are out there. That's a great example of, staff just doesn't, this is not within our realm of what we're doing right now. And it's really hard to add on, action items like this that are totally different than what we're doing right now.
Well, a previous page you had the plastic bag recycling that you were working on for, 2 or 3 years, whatever, before the pandemic, so.
Mhm.
That seems like an obvious thing for us to be involved in.
Yeah.
Did Go Green chime in, or did somebody volunteer?
Go Green, I just know is very interested. And so when as I go through and identify, some of these I read, I'm like, this is really hard for somebody that's not a staff person to do this. And so then then we tend to put staff names after that. But if, that's not the case, and I don't know any more than styrofoam than the next person, well, that to me, that's a great opportunity for somebody else to jump in and help,
I know lots about it.
Bob, would you like me to put your name in right now?
Sure.
Okay. It was a win.
Yeah.
As you go through the plan, though, you feel free to email me if there's an action item that you want to work on, and I can put your name in here. So. All
There's
right.
actually definitely a few that we're already working on over in place that shall not be named.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz, is that for industry and residential or only residential?
That's a good question. It doesn't specify. So, I mean, I think anything that, helps the cause would qualify.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe they're different questions.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm not very well versed on construction and debris, things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity there. But well, anyway, you have an idea.
So I have a quick question, Liz. They, on the 29th, which is Thursday, there's the staff is gonna have a Q1 2023 action plan. Is that right?
I
Is
think
that
it's the
still on?
30th.
The
Yeah.
30th?
I think it's
that's
the
right.
30th.
Is that still?
Yeah, no, we're meeting. It's challenging. We're in the middle of budget right now too. It's a very challenging budget year. I would say years of large inflation like this are more challenging than recession years for us. Yes, we're meeting. Hopefully everything's completed.
So at our January meeting, we'll have probably this a little more fleshed out with the staff's Q1.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hey Liz, just got an email from Alma. She's saying the meeting keeps cutting out.
What keeps cutting out?
The Zoom meeting?
We'll have to see if it's happening for anyone else.
Is anyone at home having an issue with the Zoom cutting out?
Andrew.
Talk to her, like, it's her, right?
No.
It's her, she's on her iPhone.
Might be on your end, Alma, sounds like.
Probably I'm back in, so I'm not sure. My two
Okay.
phones were down in my internet.
You're on.
There was a brief caution signal, but it never disrupted over, at least here.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like it's okay on my end as well. So far, so good.
Great. Okay, so for next meeting, Charlie's going to send out the blank implementation plan, and then feel free to email me as you find action items that you want to work on for next month.
Okay, thanks. Does that carry us to new business, I guess, next? The refuse and composting update.
Yeah, I'll get started on that. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I am here remotely.
I like your beard. I like your beard, I just want to tell you.
Thank you. Just a quick update on some of the refuse things, and then Liz will get in a little more to the composting update. We did meet with the manager's office staff and with Meredith before the Christmas holiday to talk about the once a week refuse transition and start to sort of lay out some conceptual thoughts about the time sequence of that transition. Obviously, there's a little bit that goes into it. You know, we've talked about this subject matter with the commission for quite a period of time. And so, you know, there's an element of simplicity in that we're reducing a service versus expanding a service. But by the same token, you know, there are some logistics that need to be thought through as we get ready to make a transition. And so that includes topics like, making sure that we have toters or extra toters available for those that are going to need extra toters, but probably it goes without saying, the most important thing is just thinking through what's the right time period from a scheduling and from a weather standpoint to implement the service. When does, the leadership of the village have a goal of implementing the service? And then probably most importantly is, what is the public information and the educational and the outreach lead up to making a transition? So we did meet before the Christmas holiday to begin reviewing that, and we're sort of working through those logistics now to try and get locked in on a target date so that we can plan public communications in advance of doing so. Along with that, it was a very good meeting with Meredith to discuss that. We also want to be able to, coordinate our messages about why the reduction in service is taking place, but also want to be very front loaded about other elements of this. And that includes education on recycling, education on food waste and food scrap composting, and other things that residents can do, and frankly, that residents can learn as we get ready to go into this, about how they can change some of their habits, can learn something about how to be, dare I say it, more environmentally responsible, to help them help themselves, as for those that feel like this might be a particularly challenging transition for themselves. So we are actively working on that, and we'll certainly have more information to offer to you on that very shortly. Related to that is the recycling discussion. We are working on, the framework of a recycling RFP, but in that regard, we have also had conversations with LRS about the recycling marketplace, about their current contract, and what opportunities may exist for an extension or, new arrangements with them. I do expect to be receiving additional information from them this week with respect to what those opportunities may look like. So that is an active discussion with them as well. We've talked about some of the renewals that they have done somewhat recently with some of the North Shore communities where the recycling marketplace is going, as well as some of the state legislation that is out there with respect to, Elizabeth, help me out on this one. What are you going to refer to it as? The producer's responsibility legislation that's out there?
Bob Render probably knows. It's
Yeah, it's called ERP,
yeah.
Extended Producer Response,
Yes.
excuse me, EPR,
Yeah.
Extended Producer Responsibility, and it basically is a tax on certain kinds of packaging or whatever is specific that they want to control. The money's collected, and then the question is, who gets to decide what happens to the money? And the idea theoretically is to build infrastructure for recycling collections. So I know there's some EPR legislation that's been proposed, and some of it has been proposed for carpet, which is another thing that we might want to talk about sometime in terms of the sustainability plan. I think there's a good chance the next year or two that will pass.
Yeah. So there are definitely a few things that are in play legislatively in Springfield that may have some impacts on the recycling market that are not necessarily impacts that will alter the marketplace in the next maybe year to 2 years, but maybe looking at 3 years down the road or so, maybe factors. So those are some of the discussions that we're having with LRS, and those again are very active and ongoing, and we'll certainly have more to report to you certainly by the next meeting. But everything is sort of moving forward in that regard. With respect to the sort of time pieces or sequencing that we want to try and accomplish or have synced up with respect to the once a week transition. Certainly, as you all know, one element that was related to the board's recent action with respect to once a week service transition was the enhanced food scrap options. And so I'm going to ask Elizabeth to comment and give you an update with respect to the food scrap composting, and in particular, the development of the drop-off program.
Yeah, we've made a lot of good progress on that. I basically took a field trip, went to go look at Evanston's over by Robert Crown. I drove up to Glencoe, and people had been sending us kind of photos of these more grandiose drop-off sites. And when I went to both of those, they were just simple. It was just toters out there. There was wonderful big signage on exactly what could be composted, what couldn't be. And so I thought, why overthink this? We just need to get going on this. And so reached out to the park district. They're very interested in being a partner. We're sort of finalizing probably anywhere from 4 to 6 sites that will be in the village of where those will be. Our engineering division can incorporate some concrete pads within the concrete contract this spring. And we just have to do a quick IGA with the park district to work out, some of the maintenance, types of things. And I would expect we can get that rolling, late spring after we can pour the concrete and get that going. I don't know if we'll have to wait for new fiscal funds or if we're going to be able to accommodate probably a month or so in this budget, but that's moving along pretty well. I don't really see any obstacles to rolling that program out. As far as the incentive aspect of our curbside program, I did reach out to our purchasing agent. He's reviewing our current franchise agreement. We just got to make sure everything is okay and legal, and we can't be offering incentives if it violates any sort of, state purchasing law or anything like that. So he's reviewing that right now. And the manager's analyst did some research on countertop composters. So our thought is we would run some type of program where we would also, give away some sort of tabletop composter. And then they would sign up and, maybe get some sort of incentive for signing up that day, maybe at the farmer's market or at the various village events, to kind of make some sort of urgency. Because we think one of the barriers is people just kind of don't take the time to sign up. So we're trying to draw them in, give them something free, get them to sign up that day. And that's the path that we're on. But we have to hear back from the purchasing agent to see if there's any issues with our plan. So that's it for any questions on the composting?
Yeah, so did you talk to Collective Resource about that? Like are they on
The incentive in
tabletop?
yeah, I mean,
I know like we have you on the bucket, so it's like
yeah, no, in spirit, she's definitely in with scaling up, and I've talked to her about incentivizing, and anything that we can help with obviously is great to get customers. We just have to double check that contract, and we will have more information probably next month.
It sounds like it may be premature to ask then what the level of incentive you're hoping to provide is.
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about that with village staff, and I still need to really talk with her. She might have some great idea on the best way to work it. We do have some concerns with various incentives that people would sign up and drop off and things like that. So we're just trying to think of a way, do we give like a free couple of months at the end of the year, or, we're trying to figure out some of that stuff yet.
Question for Max. So Max, you didn't really mention a timeline so much, or maybe you just don't have a timeline about the refuge plan?
Well, we're still working on what exactly that timeline looks like. I mean, I would anticipate it's sometime, let's call it late spring. Okay. So we just need to make sure that we need to sync up all the village's communication arms so that we have time to have all our forms of out communication in sync. and obviously you guys have all been on this commission for a long time. You know the village's various communication vehicles and which ones have long lead times, and which ones are comparatively nimble. So you know which one sort of drives that. So you know, I would say obviously right now we're targeting, I would say immediately after the weather breaks, so that we you know, have less risk of, you know, disruption from weather, but before we get into summer, let's put it that way. And so I don't mean to be cryptic, but I just don't want to get ahead of the village manager on that, or ahead of the village board on that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So fair to say, first half of 2023. Okay, thanks.
That actually sounds great, and hats off to you if you can accomplish it, you know. It sounds like a lot of work.
And it's just, I want to interrupt. I was going to say, speaking of communications part of it and stuff like that, I know there's the PDF that we have that sort of outlines a whole bunch of recycling and composting and all of those opportunities on our webpage, and it looks like there's going to be a link to it on the new sustainability site or section as well. So I can also update that. If you guys have like a FAQ page or something like that, or any additional information on the website that answers questions about the transition to the once a week and all of that, I can also incorporate like some information about where to find that as well in the sort of revised version. So hopefully that helps direct people to the right sort of resources, find out more.
That's all we have on refuse and composting.
All right, any other questions for Liz or Max? All right, thank you both. Next item on our new business, education seminars at the library. So Charlie, this is an update.
Yeah, so last time we talked, I mentioned that there's we have Cub coming in to do a presentation on it's on decarbonization and making our home energy smart. That's January 25th. And talked about having a sort of creating a regular series of programs, either at the library or some other facility, that would be public information workshops or the like that are related directly to the sustainability plan. So I put together a spreadsheet or a table of some potential ideas, and I did share that with the people in the group, just soliciting ideas, and so that's still out there. I'd like to continue to work on that. And one idea I had is maybe, and I was thinking of these being like on a quarterly basis. That wouldn't be too intensive, but it would just be have a regular cadence where people could expect a presentation about something related to the sustainability plan, but also that would be an opportunity to have a public update on where things are, what kind of progress is being made. So this will sort of include that as well. And there've been a couple of things. People have sent a couple of emails with some ideas. What I'm hoping is that if people can look through this and see what programs they might have an interest in, and then maybe help out and take some ownership. So either identify a speaker or contact someone that could do the presentation, and then we can work together on finding a location and actually determining a schedule for that. One other idea I had, given with the changes in the waste collection and the composting, is to have one of those sessions early sometime in the spring be about that specifically, so that people can, so that we can have, you know, an opportunity for a public session on that. And I think Max and Liz, you're the stars of the show on that. So I'd like to work with you both on doing that. So if you're up for that, then we can coordinate what would be a good, obviously the timeline is still undetermined at this point, but I don't think there's any pressing need to sort of nail that down unless we want to secure a spot at the library for that. That would take some lead time, but talk to you about that. So I'll send out when I send out the spreadsheet, share the spreadsheet with the implementation, I'll put also a link in with the table of the ideas for the workshops, and people can take a look at that and see if there are things they're interested in doing.
Thanks. The January 25th event is at what time?
That's at 6:30 and it's gonna be in the Rodmacher room at the library.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
And then actually will also be a hybrid event. So we'll see how the library does hybrid. So there'll be an opportunity to do that on Zoom as well.
If you'd like, I think we could probably advertise that session on our village social media.
Okay.
Do you have a contact there that would have a rough idea if there's spots available? Because I don't want to advertise it if there's no spots, or I just want to get the
So there is
information.
a sign up on the library's website, and the sign up doesn't happen until January 2nd.
Okay,
And so I think, and the Rodmacher room is pretty substantial, so I think there are about 50 people that can get in there.
Okay.
But Liz, I'll send you the link to where it is on the library's website.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, any other questions for Charlie? Looks like Andrew has his hand up.
Yeah, oh no, I'm just gonna say, one of the things, I know there's, I guess, additional opportunity to look over these ideas and, obviously potentially suggest others and all of that. But one thing, as a avid reader, one thing that definitely piqued my interest is the idea of the whole environmental book club thing, especially since I think libraries are, sort of community centers. I think it attracts a lot of people. That certainly is something that I think could be an interesting ongoing partnership with, say, the library too. If even better, potentially, if we can link these things to specific sectors or goals, objectives in our own sustainability plan. But as somebody who reads a lot, and obviously in my day job, I've done a lot of interviewing of authors and all of that as well. I mean, that's certainly something that piques my interest. So, and I'm sure there are a lot of other people who are avid readers who would find it to be interesting and informative also. So,
It's all yours, Andrew.
but, yeah.
Where's the next one? Yeah.
thank you, Andrew.
Legals.
All right, thanks for sharing, Andrew. Okay, public comment? Anything online?
I checked earlier. There's not.
Can't believe people are joining us and just in the case out.
Believe it.
There's nothing on the agenda about the New Year's Eve party at Liz's house. How come there's nothing on?
Yeah.
What time?
We can't have a party every meeting.
Public.
After we're off the YouTube live, I think.
Have eat a public works and open that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be on the roof.
We can make it 0 ways.
It'll be
There.
We don't need none of that fear is going.
Only tap beer. So
Okay, so next meeting date. I have as January 24th. Unless there's objections, we'll just stick with that date.
looks good. Okay.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a happy and safe new year. Good night, all online.
Happy, healthy.
Thank you.
What a great place we live.